Hello, hello. Welcome back to the second half of season 3 of Chatting with Asta. After a brief summer spring hiatus, which I had to attend to some filming of my own and this big old entertainment strike, I am happy to be back to have all sorts of great conversations with people again and share them with you. Also, I'm happy to announce that Chatting with Asta is a SAG-AFTRA signatory podcast. Very proud to be able to make that upgrade. And thank you so much to everyone who's encouraged this podcast from day one. This season onward, I look forward to sharing fun people from all walks, spiced with a heavy dose of indie horror. Speaking of spicy horror, today I'm joined by one of my favorite people, an indie warrior, director, writer, producer, known for her horror shorts rooted in sociopolitical themes as well as demented, dark comedic flair. Today she joins us as she launches her crowdfunding campaign for her feature film debut. Hell yeah, ladies and gents. Today I've got Izzy Lee.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
I know. I feel like I've been meaning to do this for forever, and this is just like kismet, perfect timing. So excited about your feature film debut. I mean, I think everybody's been just waiting and waiting, waiting. And every time I check, I mean, I'm pretty sure by the time this airs, this will be like triple funded. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, that would take a load off my anxiety. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, crowdfunding is a really all-consuming thing. I mean, you tell me about it. You've been having to like make up the most amazing, funny rewards I've ever seen on any indie fundraiser.
Well, I like to keep it interesting,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, at the very least, if I'm not laughing,
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, here we are, House of Ashes, my first feature. It's nuts.
Yeah.
We're 35% funded so far, and
At the moment of
it's
this recording. Yeah.
yeah, at the moment of this recording, our first day. Wow. So, if you want indie horror, you're gonna get it if you help me out, you guys. You know my track record, 24 shorts. I make shit happen.
Yes. Yes. And you have on her on your Kickstarter, you've got a great visual mood board set up so people get an idea. But you've also executed just so many different styles of shorts. What can people expect in the style of this that you can just
Sure.
like logline pitch real quick on this show?
Yeah, man, that's a great question because
Yeah.
I do often work in totally tonal and stylistic differences because I like variety. Um, when I do my social political horror, it is very near and dear to me. It is my core.
Yeah.
However, it is a dark place to live, at least the way that I do my social political horror, because it's rooted in reality for the most part.
Mhm.
Any element of what has been going on in the last several years here in this country, good times. But that's also why I became a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because back in 2012, when I started, at least with filmmaking, there was that representative Todd Aiken who was like, if it's a legitimate rape, a woman's body has a whole way of shutting that whole thing down. I don't think so, magical unicorn body, but thanks for the thought, you jerk.
Yes.
So yeah, I make a lot of films out of anger.
Yeah. A
But
lot
to
of
answer your question, yeah, go ahead.
no, a lot of them like but good.
Yeah, thank you. um, This one is going to be one of those straight socio-political horror films.
Mhm.
It will be a dash of the surreal. It'll be a ghost story. There'll be a lot of slow burn, creeping dread, and hopefully, I'm going to be able to scare the shit out of you guys because I live for that. It's either I want to make you jump
Yeah.
or cry or laugh. When I do films like Meat Friend.
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah. So I do have to swing, from one spectrum to the other from time to time to keep my own sanity.
Yeah.
So
And
after this, I'm probably going to do a comedy again.
yeah. Well, it's a good balance, and I think that one of the things that I've been a big fan of your work is because you're able to recognize that women, the female experience especially, is so complicated that we need different comforts at different times and we need different coping mechanisms, right? And like, I remember when I saw the obliteration of the chickens at Brooklyn
Yes.
Horror, I remember being like, yeah, yeah,
So another one of my weirdo comedy horror things
yeah,
is, that was very directly inspired by Nietzsche and Herzog.
yeah,
I
yeah,
call it absurd nihilism.
yeah. Well, you do bring that, like a lot of the different shorts. There are some obvious and not so obvious influences from male abstract greats. Everything from H.P. Lovecraft to like Herzog. But you bring that feminine angle where it's like, let me dispel for you any notions you have about like females not being able to also feel like this. You
Oh
know?
my God, we feel like this the most.
Yeah.
To be female is to be born, bred, and rooted in horror for our entire fucking lives, from inception to the grave.
Yes. Experience
Backwards and in
horror.
heels.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. What do you want people to leave with after they see this, as far as, do you want them to be activated, do you want them to feel
Hmm,
cathartic, do you want a little bit of both? I'm sure you're
sure.
still gonna put a little bit of the absurd. I mean, one thing that's tricky with horror is
Oh yeah.
like, you you both are trying to let people escape their reality, but you also want them not to, like, you want to confront them, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I am known for, even in the dark films that I make, sprinkling in a little bit of absurdity here and there, a little bit of levity. I think it's really important to release some tension
Yeah.
before you build it back up again. And at the end of the day, this is entertainment. Granted, for a lot of us, like myself, it's entertainment with a message. Now, whatever the takeaway is, I think I should leave that up to the individual, because I think a lot of people are going to find what they need in it. Like, this is a layered story. There will be not just the social political stuff, but there's surreal, creepy stuff. There's commentary on what it is to be a woman living in America. There is some glee, and you know what? There's gonna be, I don't want to spoil it, but there will be some damn good catharsis at the end of the film.
Good.
So I think a lot of women will feel actually pretty good leaving the end of the film.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. We start off in not a very empowering place for Mia, but then by the end of it, she's she's gonna have a lot of power. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
that's exciting.
basically, the log line is: a grieving widow under house arrest is haunted. She cannot leave. So how does she survive?
Yeah.
I mean, cops ain't gonna help. That's for sure.
No,
Yep.
it kind of
Nope.
reminds me a little bit of gaslight. Gaslight.
Ah,
Like
yeah.
just the concept of, and I think a lot of women will relate with the pandemic, with the elections, like that feeling
Oh my
of
God.
freezing, and
Yeah.
how it creates a sort of terror. But I think with
Yeah.
this kind of story, it sounds like people can activate those fears and transmute it, right, into a
Right.
story,
Yeah.
and maybe
It-
find a way out themselves.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the reason why I love horror so damn much.
Yeah.
It is such a it's kind of like a democratic catharsis, because you can live something
Yeah.
that you can probably relate to, but then you can find your way out through whoever the main character is,
Mhm.
and come out with a sort of strength.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of the brand that I've been building for a little bit, I think involuntarily, but a lot of filmmakers and a lot of audience members of all genders, they come up to me and they're pretty complimentary. So I know I'm doing something right. You know, I know I'm touching someone on a human level,
Yeah.
which the reason why I'm on this fucking earth is one, to connect people, and two, to tell stories. And so I'm trying to do
Yeah.
both at the same time. And I don't know. I hope it works out.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward, and I know that a lot of people have been going to bat, like in hopes for you to get like this feature made, any feature, because we want to see what you can do with that much time, because you can tell stories in a minute, that are more effective than some I've seen in 90 minutes.
Thank you. I've been doing a lot of micro shorts lately.
But like, can we talk about how making micro shorts, and then like, because you've done stuff that's both you film it yourself, but then there's stuff that you like, I kind of like visual collage, like you work with like B-roll type stuff and you like subvert
Right.
the imagery. Can you talk about how like micro shorts are basically like filmmaker steroids? Because it forces you to really like work those little filmmaker muscles that nobody sees.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, you're totally right. The micro shorts are experiments, you know, they're little glimmers of weirdness for me. The one that I'm most proud of is Memento Mori, because it was after my very first Sundance Collab course that I took last year.
Mhm.
It was the very first thing that I made directly after that, you know, course. And I gained an entirely new language. And I was able, like, what you see on the screen is 95% what matched the vision in my head, and it's never happened like that before for a short for me. And I'm really proud of that one. Memento Mori came about because of the NYX 13 Minutes of Horror
Mhm.
mini film festival anthology competition.
Yeah.
And so Memento Mori closes out the 13 minutes of horror. Every short is a minute long before credits. Um, and so it's basically, you know, like a 15-minute break you're watching with credits. And I think it might still be floating around somewhere. It was on Shutter for a good 6 months, but you know, that short film is one of the select shorts that I'm going to be, you know, offering rewards like in a package, you know. So yeah.
I mean, you kind of nailed something that I've noticed some people like Jill Gevargizian, who was on the show, did the stylist. Like one of the things that brought success to that was this idea of building a package of the aesthetic, and that's what I've heard about Memento Mori. Is like it's so spot on, and people don't realize how rare it is to translate a vision to a storyboard, to a script, to a storyboard, to a shot list, to the collaboration that is film. And so you saying that is just like really exciting, because if you're able to do that on that level for that minute, you're basically like lucid dreaming, right? It's like lucid dreaming.
I
It's
mean,
like,
it felt that way to film
yeah.
it. The experience is somewhat, you know, apropos as well, because it is we float in with a ghostly sort of POV, and there, you know, there is ghosts involved, you know. So yeah, man, I can't wait to make House of Ashes, because that is my same team.
Yeah. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
man.
That's so
Yeah.
exciting. That's so exciting. It's and you've built a lot of your work with frequent collaborators and people that like you admire. Like we were talking right before I started recording that I was so excited to watch Rites of Vengeance, which is available on Alter on
Yes.
YouTube. And I went in blind because that's my favorite way to go into a short. And I was so surprised to see one HB, Heather Buckley, as a nun. And
Yes.
that wasn't everything I didn't even know I needed and more. And that has no dialogue. And tells so much visually without being like too indicative.
Mm.
And it was so powerful, and it didn't even feel, because I know that if I was telling the pitch to this, it would feel like an exploitation, but
Right.
it doesn't feel like that. Like I was like, you know what? They just went up to 11. So for the audience listening and watching, the main gist of Rites of Vengeance is a trio of nuns take matters into their own hands when a priest commits a terrible sin.
Yes.
And the way you set it up, everything is so crisp and clean. I mean, what was that experience like? And as someone who is developing something that is in the Catholic realm, was it a bit intimidating to like do what you did in a church? Like,
Well, let me answer that question.
yes, fully.
So, once upon a time, I was raised Catholic in Massachusetts, and there's a lot of that out there. And the problem is, as well, is unfortunately when we have such, let's call them quote unquote infallible
Mm,
power structures, there's a lot of abuse.
yeah.
And I personally know some people who have been on the receiving end, unfortunately, of Catholic priest abuse, and it's not okay.
No.
And so it's just being in a hotbed of that, it gets to you. And having watched Spotlight, it gets to you.
Mm.
Funny enough, the Boston Globe, when they were filming that, my stepdad, he was a print foreman at the paper for basically his entire career, and his press that he was running is in the movie.
Oh wow.
Um, so, yeah, I mean, I was watching it at the Somerville Theater when it came out, and it hit me. It hit me really fucking deeply. And I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to say within the realm of, a 5-minute short or 7 minutes. I'm not sure what it is offhand, but I knew that any dialogue would probably push it into that exploitation territory. And as fun as that can be, and I do enjoy nuns getting revenge, trust me.
Yeah.
Um, I am here for any woman getting revenge, ever.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted it to be a serious film, and I got to tell you, like, I broke my own heart making that film, and I did not give a fuck about, the church
Yeah.
or anybody walking in on some of these shots and complaining, because you know what has the church done to people for an entire civilization? No, you don't get to tell me what to do. Anyway, they took my money. It was fine.
That says it all. That says it all, right?
They came and left. We're totally unsupervised. It was great.
It was incredibly powerful, and
Yeah.
I commend you for that, because like I said, reading that, if I had known what that was the synopsis before, I would have had a certain expectation, and
Right.
and sometimes the provocative thing to do with those storylines is to pare it down to its most potent message, because
Yep.
like otherwise you feel like you're being didactic, or like you're creating like a propaganda of some sort, but it's the facts are bare, right? And you're being blunt. um and that's a theme I've just noticed in your work, is like this sort of like, like watching My Monster, like sort of
Yeah.
just, well, what do you want from me? Like that, that's, to me, that's like such a Izzy Lee line. It's like, I'm here, I'm living, I'm trying to survive, and you just,
Yeah.
what do you want from me? Do you
What the
just
fuck do you want, man?
do you just want to take my blood and just drain me of all my purpose?
Right?
Right?
You get it. You got it.
I
Got it.
I passed the Izzy Lee test.
Oh, of
But
course.
but yeah, it's something that, you and I have, I've seen you, and it's one of the amazing things is that not only have you done so many shorts, and you've done micro shorts like in these effective little stories, but you've also been like this film festival goddess. Like you're like the expert at like you're like the it girl at the
Am
festival.
I?
Yes.
Well, that's nice.
And
That's
you're
nice
like
to hear.
they're like, oh, there's Izzy. Because you've been around.
I've been everywhere, man.
And it's
I
so
just
cool.
The thing is, I love it so fucking much. I love festivals. I love talking to people about movies and watching their stuff
Yeah.
and, talking to audience members and fans and like what was it that cooked you on, this one part of the film or whatever, what is your taste? You know, um, it feeds me.
Yeah.
I love film festivals so much. I started programming when I got out of college for Boston Underground Film Festival and then later Boston Sci-Fi. And then here and there throughout the years, I've done a lot of one-off screening nights and suggestions to friends. Like sometimes people come and ask me, like, "Oh, hey, can you put together something for me, programming wise?"
Yeah.
Sure. Like for instance, right now I'm doing a friend in Florida who used to run Idaho Horror Film Festival.
Uh-huh.
Um, she's starting up a community down in Fort Myers, and so I'm putting together some fun horror feature picks along with some of the shorts because she asked. It's fun, but film festivals are my fucking jam. It's basically, one of the reasons I exist.
Yeah. Such a pure place to see people who are also jazzed about films. Like it's not
Yeah,
the general public who just is like, trying to make out with their girlfriend at the theater, which is like whatever. Um,
sure.
but it's a place where people know what it is to put your blood, sweat, and tears and your bank account through the ringer and make something. This holy ritual that we all get to see the stuff that someone else programmed that you think that could go with your stuff. And then maybe you'll run into future collaborators or people that,
It's true.
yeah, you just like are
Dude,
like, oh,
all
we're the same. We're the
everybody.
same. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. This is where I found my people.
Yeah.
Starting at Fantasia, man. Fantasia
Yes.
and Boston Underground. Oh my God, I finally found my people.
Yeah.
And a lot of these wonderful human beings have become like my closest friends and my
Yeah.
collaborators. So if you're a filmmaker and you're wondering, should I play film festivals? Are they worth it? You're first starting
Yeah.
out, whatever. I'm telling you, go.
Yes.
Like the theater is my church, and the film festivals are my altar that I worship on. So
And
I cannot stress enough how important film festivals are to our culture and our soul.
our education. Like
Yeah,
I think that even if you have just the aspiration of making your project, sometimes just going to a film festival just to see other people like put themselves out there, it inspires something in you. I mean, there have been so many times I've gone and seen something and I just am like, I need to go freaking finish that treatment, like
yes. Or I need to go talk to this person. Who is this
yeah,
person? I need to meet
and
them.
tell them. And like so many of my
Yeah,
friends, including people like you, I've like met because I'm like, this stuff is so cool.
yeah,
And it ends up feeling kind of like I don't want to say the like Neverland like Lost Boys or anything, but it just kind of feels like you're like, were we all in the same liminal space? Because I get this imagery. Like I completely get this imagery. And it's such a beautiful thing when you go to like these rad festivals like Fantasia, um, Brooklyn Horror Fest is one that we've both gone to, like
yeah.
these places where the curation seems to be on a level that everyone becomes friends and then the next year it's like the films with the people that were there before and it just like keeps becoming this big hub.
The greatest fucking thing ever. I really do live for it. So the pandemic really screwed me in an
Yeah.
existential sense. I am changed.
Yes.
And some of it's for the better and some of it for the fucking worst, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, there's
Fuck, man.
kind of a re-socialization that's happening, right? Like I mean, the whole impetus for this show was like for me to find a way to remind people how rad they were and
Oh,
like find a way to reconnect to, okay, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing
right.
this? Because, it's important and it's so rare that people, a lot of us assume that everyone knows how rad they are, you know? and they
Nope.
don't.
It's
You need to tell
yeah.
everyone.
It's super important, you know, if you're a creator or a fan and you love somebody's work, just fucking go tell them
Yes.
because we live in such an isolated, strange reality. I swear to God, like everyone has imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Everyone's insecure. Everyone's very sad, probably. Everyone's just trying to like make it day to day a lot of the time, you know? So, try not to be shy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're shy. You know,
Yeah.
we really, like you probably don't think I'm shy because you see me like this because we can chill and we can talk about whatever and
Yeah.
we're at festivals and this is where I am on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But day to day, I live in a place where I have no friends now. It's weird.
Same.
It's weird. I have to drive 6 hours to LA to hang out with people that I love. There's nobody here for me except my, of course, my extremely wonderful partner in Nile Noctum Films and husband, co-writer, co-producer, Steve Johansson, sometimes actor.
Yes.
He is my rock and my cosmic love and my soul.
Yes.
But besides that, like, I would love to go hang out with some friends that, you know, I don't live with, but I can't do that.
I
So just like the pandemic, you
yeah.
know, go tell people if you like their work, go talk to them, go say hi. Festivals, fucking amazing.
Yeah. And I'm in that same boat. I mean, I moved cross country, and even though I've made some friends here, like it's sort of a muscle to say you need people,
Yeah.
or like you get to an age, because you and I bonded over talking about like what trauma does to the brain, and like the people pleasing behaviors that come with that, and how you
Right.
sort of have to remind yourself like maybe you're not really trying to connect with certain people because it like sets off an alarm in you, and
Right.
maybe it's not about them, but maybe it is, like, so you're
I
sort of
feel like
careful.
those situations, man, those situations are just like it's like balancing on a razor's edge. Which way is it gonna go? Are you gonna get triggered? Or are they gonna get triggered? Are you triggered together?
Yeah.
Does this become a downward spiral of codependency? You should probably fucking run
Yeah.
if you're in that position because that's not good for anybody. But
Yeah. Well,
you
luckily
know,
we're in an art that sort of forces like a collaborative, cathartic environment, so that even if we feel like lonely for periods of time, and we finally get a project together, it's like it's like almost this intense grouping of people and minds. And I mean, the last thing I shot, or a couple of things I shot ago, I feel like I was talking 24/7 for like 5 days.
yeah,
And then
you probably were.
I came home and I was like, I don't want to
Let me
like,
cocoon for a month.
yeah, I was like,
Uh-huh.
let me do my thing where I rewatch a series from beginning to end and just shut down. And
Yes.
but that's why
The beautiful thing about
Cancer moon is, such a homebody, and I love people
yeah.
and I miss people, but then it gets so concentrated with film because you have people, asking you every few minutes, like, what is this? Da, 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 da. And then you're like, I'm good.
Mhm. It's an exhaustion of which I've never known before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. What
so, like, doing all the Kickstarter stuff and trying to promote, and I'm on 7 to 10, I don't know, different apps today, talking to people
yeah.
for hours, like nonstop. Like it started yesterday and last week and today is nonstop. And I'm just like, it's a lot to handle.
But you know
It's a
what? You
lot.
chose a great day to launch because today is a Leo moon. And
Really?
so that's like, hello, attention central. Like,
Well, I happen to have a Leo moon in my star chart, you
there you
know.
go.
Cancer
So,
Sun, Leo moon, Taurus rising.
there you go. So you didn't even realize, but that's like really good timing. And you know, the the one thing I wanted to ask, the major thing I wanted to ask you is like, what? Because you shadowed Adam Egypt, right, on a feature.
Sure did.
So what
Yeah.
do you feel like what are the things that you're prepared for in the pre-production stage that you're in that you want to impart knowledge as you adjust from the short to feature format? Like what sort of
Oh my God.
expectations? What kind of things are you ready for, not ready for? I mean, some of the uncertainty can be exciting.
Well, the thing is, so even more so than just literal life, film is so, and you understand this,
Yeah,
so uncertain
yeah.
and topsy-turvy, that you just have to kind of be ready for anything. You have to just prepare, but then also be ready to let all of it fucking go
Yeah,
and improvise.
yeah.
Um, you know, to a reasonable extent, your preparation in terms of like your tech and location scouting, your storyboarding, your casting,
Mm.
rehearsals if you have that luxury, which is how sad is that a luxury these days? You know, being in the physical space where you're going to shoot beforehand
Mhm.
to really just walk around the space and look and be and exist in this physical area.
Yeah,
It is much different than trying to plan it from afar, from a Peerspace listing or Gigster or whatever.
yeah,
And I've done both. And I can tell you that being in the space, if you're able to do it, you have an advantage. What my plan is currently is I'm going to go live in the space where we're going to shoot because I have to. I'm from out of town now. And I'm planning a feature from out of town. So having done shorts from out of town or across the country, you know, it's not really my comfort zone, but I've done it, and so at least now that I've slid down that Mount Everest of anxiety, I'm so much more better mentally prepared for shooting a feature. But I will live in this place that we shoot ahead of time and during,
wow.
and it's going to be intense, but I have faith. I have faith in my past abilities, what I've done. I have
Mhm.
faith in my crew, and it's gonna get done one way or the other because if not nothing, out of spite.
Yeah, fight is a great motivator. Oh my
It really is.
God.
It really is because when you have nothing left but your anger,
Yeah,
that's gonna get done.
yeah.
That's gonna get done. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Um, one of the greatest things that I learned from Adam on shadowing for Archenemy was just how to be, you
Hmm.
know, just how to look and stop at the swirling maelstrom of chaos around you,
Just
and how to be, how to deal with it, how to treat people, how to stay calm,
yeah,
how to do the best you can, even knowing that shit's gonna hit the fan that you won't foresee because it's just reality. You could be so prepared and then you lose a location at the last second, or you have to do a rewrite because whatever reason X, Y, or Z.
yeah,
Or you know what? One of your cast is now deadly sick. Now what do we do?
yeah.
Fun time. So I learned a lot about those things. And I've I've been on, other sets, visiting momentarily, but that was like a full thing where I literally was almost attached to the guy. I would
Mm.
just run around and follow him like a literal shadow and just listen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There were very few times where I would speak up and offer a solution or a suggestion or a thought if I had one.
Mhm.
But I did, when I felt it was appropriate, but I didn't want to make it anything about me. I just wanted to absorb like a sponge. And I learned a lot.
That's really
Fucking good.
the value also of being an audience member and watching films is like trying to learn something about the human experience by watching it. And some of the skill sets of being a storyteller are the same. You have to put in your time watching how other people do it. And you're so calm. You're like, you're
I
giving,
was not the other night.
yeah, you're giving the most chill interview. And
Thank you.
I know that right now you're like, is it funded? Like, oh my God, who, like,
This is actually a really nice distraction from that.
yeah. So
The merry-go-round of
but
refreshing the page and talking.
exactly. We're also just manifesting the energy of the production. Like I said, you've done these tonal shifts and you're about to do this feature, which is going to have like those moments of levity because you know that people need to care about the characters and not be, tortured. But what do you see happening with like your storytelling after you do something like this monumental? How do you
Right.
see this play out in the legacy of your storytelling career? Like just
Well, no pressure.
no pressure.
I I want to have a career, period.
Yeah.
Um, this is why I'm finally taking matters into my own hands after pitching for many, many years the right way
Yeah.
and watching all sorts of other people, get funded. And it's really a very, very difficult life. I met Don Coscarelli a number of times throughout my travels at film festivals, and I did that thing where I was like, "Oh, do you have any advice for any
Yeah.
filmmakers starting out?" And he
Yeah.
said, "If you can do anything else, do that. Only do this if you can't not do it." And that's unfortunately the type of person I am. So there's been a lot of suffering. I would like not to suffer.
Yeah.
I would like to get a real budget for my second feature
Yeah.
and every feature after that. And fuck, I'd love to do some, TV episodes. That'd
Yeah.
be so fun.
Yes.
Hopefully the strikes will get everyone in the working class what they absolutely need and deserve. And I take more. What you guys are asking for is only, I think you should ask for a billion times more because, clearly these monsters in power do not care. And it's only about power and
Yeah.
it's only about a money grab thing at this point. I mean, it is so, so clear. And it's kind of really, despite all the pain with the strikes in this industry, it's really fucking nice to see. It's nice to see the solidarity, and it's nice to see people helping each other. It's nice to see that people are waking the fuck up
Yeah.
and like, you know what? This is an extension of corporate America at this point because the tech bros own everything, shareholders own everything, and it's been unsustainable for a very long time, and now the bottom is falling out, and I mean, it's not extreme enough for me. But then again, I'm the type of person who makes art because if I didn't, I'd be in jail. So it's gonna not be enough for me. But I'm glad that everyone's peaceful for the most part.
Yeah. I think that in the war that's before the public opinion, in the court of public opinion, I think the entertainment workers have won. Like we've already proven like the certain zeitgeist of exploitation in the industry has needs to end.
Right.
I think that ultimately, for filmmakers and storytellers like yourself, I think that this is illuminating a very human aspect and a vulnerable aspect to being an artist, and how you can't just keep pumping content and calling it art. That's why I think it's so fun that you have created works that subvert like existing footage and sort of shine a light on just the ridiculousness of commodifying like imagery and commodifying the way we splice things, because like we're in meme culture now, right?
Right.
I'm
Right.
sure that like people weren't expecting uh images. I'm trying to avoid certain strike related words, but certain images from like prestige filmmakers to be used as like memes about going out. Like it's like there's so many things that are being like rejiggered and recommodified. But I
Yeah,
think
it's interesting.
ultimately I think we're going to have like a renaissance of like true filmmaking. I think people are going to be hungry for real human filmmaking. And it's just funny because there's like a billion and one evil AI movies out right now. And I just feel like, why is every movie about AI and we can't see like it's not the AI as much as it is the people who don't know what to do with automation and
Right.
technology. Like you know how to
I
use editing
mean,
software for your benefit. Like
like it's a tool like everything else,
yeah,
and the power is in who wields it.
yeah,
Um, Certainly, this is not the future that I was promised or hoping for, where the robots are doing creative work and we
yeah,
are, living hand to mouth and losing our homes.
yeah.
Fuck you very much, America. So I, this everything that's going on this year is a reflection of corporate America at large and being taken advantage of by the ruling class for a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when my parents graduated high school in the 70s, my mom she bought a brand new convertible, crashed it, got another one with her part-time co-op job at State Street Bank in Boston, Massachusetts. Okay. They were able to buy a house. They were able to
Credit.
buy anything. Yeah. So inflation, if it had caught up with everything, minimum wage would be something like $26 an hour, not 7.5, the way it was still in the 90s. I mean,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Oh, the children aren't buying cars. The children aren't buying diamond rings and houses. Well, what the fuck do you think? How much does it cost to have a baby in this country? We don't even have health care. Fuck you.
Exactly. I mean, I am from the generation that credit scores were invented the year I was born.
Right. Oh my God,
Year I was
hideous.
born. So I have had an imaginary number on top of my head since
Mhm.
the year I was born. But
Yeah.
but you're right. I mean, like, and
Does it
it's
make you feel human? I bet it doesn't.
no, but it's funny because like we had this like peaceful little uh conversation about art and there's and then we're talking about all the evils of society and now this is an Izzy Lee story. This whole
And now you want to help me make my fucking
I just
movie.
want to let her make her movie. My God, I just want to
Thank you.
yell. Sorry, I apologize for
Yes.
the audio level. But for serious, and like we talked about the other day, how there's such a beautiful, stressful chaos that is making art, but it's for good. You know that it's a release of all this tension and all this need to put something out there. You know,
Right.
do you have um, do you have a post filming ritual? Like I dare say self care. Like, is there something that you do after you finish?
I go and lay the fuck down. And I don't talk to people.
You're like,
I do. Just have to go away and not talk to people and decompress. Like,
yeah,
I took my decompression shower earlier for all of this social interaction that is
yes,
well high and above what I am normally used to. Um, but I mean, in terms of, I mean, I would love to go on vacation after making a movie. That is a dream. I don't know if that's going to happen. Probably not. But it just go lay down.
yeah. Lay down.
I power off. I get quiet. I cocoon myself in a blanket and watch movies. I might have a lot of whiskey. I
Yeah.
can't help it. It's fucking hard being alive. It's hard being a fucking woman and a filmmaker and living in this country and being alive and trying to make anything. It's really fucking hard, you guys. So if you're doing it, congratulations. I salute you and I'm sorry. And I hope for the best for you.
Yeah. I mean, very, very well said. It's not easy, but you've certainly made good with your time as an artist on this planet. I mean, you could have an Izzy Lee Film Festival, and it could just be programmed. You're like, I'm actually curious.
No, actually, it happened earlier this year where Film Modi 2.0 down in Santa Monica invited me to have a retrospective. And so we did that, and it might happen again next year at a different festival. It is weird because one, it's such an honor, but two, it's like I have to check myself. Am I dead?
Yeah.
Am I dead yet? Am I a ghost? I don't know. Is this real?
But you know
Maybe
what?
I'm a robot.
That
I don't
says
know.
that says a lot though, because like, why do we have to like be towards the end of our lives or dead to be appreciated? Like that's
Right?
fucking
That's
rad.
the culture.
You get to be appreciated
While
now.
you're alive, that would be
Yes.
nice. Support your artists while they're alive.
Yes.
Don't wait until they're dead and you didn't say, "Oh, I really like this thing you made. It inspired me. It helped me out in my life. It made me feel less lonely."
Yeah.
Support your artists while we're alive, please.
Yes.
We
That
need
is
it
that
just as
is
much as you need us.
that is that is exactly a perfect note to wrap up on. It has been amazing talking to you. I'm like certain that by the time this goes live, this will be fully funded. This has to be. And everybody, please check out the link. I'll put everything for her. She's got a few shorts on Alter. The IMDb links everything else. Like, just call your local government and tell them to subsidize Izzy Lee films. And
Oh, you're
also, I was just gonna sneak in here because we briefly talked about it, but like I saw you years ago when I went to go see Nevermore in that one night only Halloween performance, which is a completely different vibe of all the horror stuff we're talking about. But that was incredible.
nine.
We'd love to
9 years
see
ago.
you produce more theater. Dare I say
I
that's
don't I
thing.
don't know that I will ever produce theater again.
Well,
It did me
let's
in,
it did well.
was a
It
lot.
is very stressful. Talk about tight wire. This is like walking on the like. This is like
Hmm.
you know what the challenge of this interview has been? I can't reference any movies that I would normally reference. So that's been really fun. But imagine there is a archaeologist, okay?
Mhm.
And he has to go through a bunch of tests of his faith. This is how theater is. It's like one of those tests of faith because you're
Mm.
unhinged about it and there's things that can't be fixed in post. So,
Right.
you know, but
It's true.
anyhow,
True.
it's been lovely seeing you and talking with you, and I can't wait to see what else comes of all of this. And go Izzy, Team Izzy,
Thank you.
Team Weirdos,
Team Weirdo.
Team
Fuck yeah.
Weirdo. Hell yeah!
That's right. I will probably make t-shirts, Team Weirdo.
I'll buy the first one.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so lovely. I really
Yes.
appreciate it. And I would love to do it again sometime.
Oh yeah. Izzy Lee, regular on Chatting with Asta.
Enchanté.